University of Exeter student disciplined for saying veganism is stupid in his own bedroom. I hope my neighbour is not going to report me for this video. I'm Granniopteryx. So, you know how you sometimes get into a situation where you hear somebody rationalising what they did and you think they're rationalising it for the wrong reasons. Well, here we have a good example of this. This student was in his room talking to a friend on the phone. And during the course of the conversation, he said two horrible things. First of all, he said veganism is stupid. And secondly, he said gender fluidity is stupid or wrong or whatever. The report has it both ways here. Apparently that upset a neighbour of his in the next room. And as he remarks later, maybe I was making too much noise and I should have apologised for that. But I'm not going to apologise for saying veganism is stupid. But there are two important things here. And the first one is this newspaper is framing the argument that he said it in the privacy of his own room, so he should be allowed to do that. But that's not the argument. The argument should be that he's allowed to say it anywhere. He's allowed to go into the middle of the town square with his mobile phone, talking to his friend, shouting into the phone, veganism is stupid. He's allowed to do that. You are allowed to do that. He is allowed to say gender fluidity is wrong. That has been legally framed in law that you can say that. So there's absolutely no problem with what he was saying. And the fact that the paper is saying, well, it was in the privacy of his room shows a bad attitude. And do you know what's even worse? This took place in 2018. And that kid has not spoken about it until now. Obviously, he's graduated now because he was worried about repercussions. So, a student from the University of Exeter claimed he faced expulsion after saying veganism is wrong and gender fluidity is stupid while talking to his friend in his own room on campus. And you see there how they say in his own room, because that's the position of this newspaper, that he was in the privacy of his room and so he could say what he wanted. But no, he could say what he wanted outside his room as well. They don't seem to be getting that. And he was talking to a podcast, Cancelled Voices, by the Committee for Academic Freedom. He's got an American accent. He grew up in the United States, but he is a British citizen. I was in the room with the door closed and the window closed, and somebody had heard me say things they didn't like, he said. At about midnight, I got a knock on the door, and it was two guys from the campus night patrol, and they said to me, "You've been saying some very offensive things in here." They actually practically battered his door down. One of them shoved his foot in the door so he couldn't close it on them. We keep talking about the Stasi, but in what way is this any different? I noticed that one guy had stuck his boot in the door so I couldn't close it. They told me to be quiet, and I think later it came to pass that part of my crime was that I was defensive. I had said to them I could say what I want in the privacy of my own room. And mate, you can say what you want anywhere, so long as you're not inciting violence. Except in Scotland, of course, but that's another matter. I had one neighbour. There's one person I shared a wall with. I was in the top floor corner room with a hallway on one side. I knew exactly who it was, the girl next door to me. Robert, who was a mature student at the University of Exeter, said he thought he got in well with this woman, this girl. At a certain point, she'd heard me saying things that had called another guy, and she heard me saying things, and she called somebody else into her room to witness what she was hearing, or to audit what she was hearing. I know who that was too, because he later admitted it to me. Rob said he was informed of a disciplinary hearing at the university where he was read a list of what he'd said, including that veganism is stupid. And he said he asked them to repeat that a couple of times because his brain wouldn't process the complete, well, Kafkaesque surrealism of all of this. I also said gender fluidity is stupid. He stressed to the podcast that other comments had been misheard, including where he allegedly said that President Assad of Syria was a good guy. He said he'd stated the dictator was not a good guy. And that's absolutely, you can imagine that. A woman who's so hysterical that when she hears somebody next door say veganism is stupid or wrong or whatever, then she'll hear whatever she wants to hear thereafter. He could say Jesus Christ was a good guy, and she would say he said Jesus Christ was a bad guy, except she wouldn't do that because she'd probably agree that Jesus Christ was a bad guy. I think she was distressed from what I said, he said. Now, the problem is that someone was listening to a conversation they're not a part of, and they're not conceivably a part of. Her distress, while unfortunate, does not trump my freedom to say these things. Anywhere, not only in the room. And then he makes the point, you know, he might have been talking too loudly and disturbed her that way, and for that he apologised. But that was as far as it went. And a disciplinary hearing? What is wrong with you guys in Exeter? The University of Exeter has been criticised by one of its lecturers, Edward Skidelsky, who's also the director of the Committee for Academic Freedom. Mr. Skidelsky said, "It's extraordinary that in 21st century Britain, eavesdroppers can be rewarded and a student punished for remarks made to a friend in the privacy of his room." Yeah, but again, that is not the point. It's just the remarks he made. Now, you could say he was talking too loudly. That is a different thing altogether. Robert's case once again underlines the insidious erosion of the freedom to express opinions and ideas which is playing out at our universities. University of Exeter has been contacted for comment. University of Exeter, you're a disgrace to academia. That girl, well, I suppose she now has, that was 2018. So her eavesdropping, she's probably working for BBC Verify now, don't you think? That would be an ideal qualification for her. Okay, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Grambo, with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.